So we all know the second season of Night Gallery is the best of the series. When it really swung for the fences, it hit it out of the park. Now today we're going to be talking about, I think, the episode that combined all aspects of Twilight Zone, Night Gallery, the old Carlton and DC horror comics, and what I call body horror. Not the fact that the body was horror-filled, using the body for nefarious means. Now, this episode, Deliveries in the Rear, I must give a little bit of a warning. If you see the episode for the first time, especially the denouement at the end, it's going to haunt you forever. So if you want to just listen to my podcast without spoilers and then try the episode, I wish you luck, because it stood the test of time for me. It's over 50 years and I still wonder every time I see an Undertaker, is he an Undertaker or is he a ghoul? Now, Deliveries in the Rear is probably, again, one of the most consistent episodes of the second season. It's part of episode 19. Now, today we're going to be quoting extensively from the David Jewell WordPress site, which I think he does a very good synopsis of it. Now, this episode was directed by the great Jeff Corey, who brings a great atmosphere to kind of the Elizabethan darkness of it. I don't think there's any scene in the show that's literally in delight. Now, the big lead, of course, is Cornell Wilde, a Hollywood star, with a great supporting cast, including a young Gerald McRaney as Tuttle, one of the what he called key plot points developed in the early part of the episode. Now, this story begins on a chilly, foggy night as a horse-drawn cart pulls up to a back alley doorway. We find two shabby-looking men step out and knock at the door. When answered, they deliver their large, lumpy cargo inside, followed quickly by the man who greeted them, but not before he takes a quick, furtive look left and right to see if anyone has witnessed them. Now, we really don't know what's going on at the first, but here it comes very quickly. It is a cadaver they have brought to one Dr. John Fletcher, played by Wilde, of the Macmillan School of Medicine, to use for demos for his class of medical students, mostly autopsy training. At the lecture he's currently given, one student, of course, McRaney, who was big in Simon and Major Dad later on. This allegedly was his first TV appearance. May have not have what it takes, as he faints at the sight of the dead body. Which there was also a play on this in Starship Troopers. I know it's a weird reference, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, after class has ended, Fletcher examines his news delivery along with one other that the men have brought. He takes a look at one body and dismisses it due to its severe decomposition. This one has been dead at least 3 weeks and is of no use to him. But the next one appears to have been dead a mere 2 hours. An excellent subject, and you know where this is going. It's a little bit too fresh, if you know what I'm saying. Now, the two men who delivered the bodies negotiate a price of $50. Dr. Fletcher can't help but wonder whether or not these men killed the recently deceased. It seems to cause him some concern, but no, not undue concern. Now, at the homie's fiancée, Barbara Bennett, played by the beautiful Rosemary Forsyth, who seems a few years younger than the doctor, her father, Ken Smith, brings up the unpleasant subject with him that rumors have been going around as to the origin of the doctor's cadavers, saying that grave robbing and even murder have been whispered about as the means. Now, in an interesting soliloquy about the value of individual life, Fletcher agrees that it's possible that some of these cadavers may have been recent murder victims, but he defends it because they are no doubt part of the scum class and now serve a higher purpose, as they will help to teach men, as there were no women at this time in medical school, it would seem, to save the lives of others. When Bennett basically lectures Fletcher for his views as a completely callous attitude towards the murder victims that he is all too willing to accept as lab aids, then later, he says privately to his daughter, how can a man so dedicated to saving lives be so ignorant of the sanctity of life itself? Now, as he climbs the steps to his home, an old woman accosts Dr. Fletcher, saying that he has her late husband and calls him a ghoul. Again, we have a pang of conscience, but no more from Fletcher. And the conversation goes, you got my husband, I know what you're doing, I want my husband back. And he kind of dismisses her, but deep down, he knows soon the jig's going to be up. Now, Like Bennett, Dr. Fletcher's supervisor at school, Dr. Shockman, played by Peter Bracco, has heard the same rumors of unsavory sources for the cadavers, and he confronts Fletcher one day before class. He has heard from the old woman, complaining that her husband has ended up on the lecture hall slab. He suggests that Fletcher use animals rather than humans as his dissection subjects, but Fletcher rejects this as a poor teaching substitute. Now, Shockman then informs Fletcher that the police will be coming soon, looking for the woman's husband. Fletcher insists there will be no problem as all of his current cadavers are female, which is a lie. It's not true. Now, to come up with a female cadaver, Fletcher has to again enlist the aid of the two unsavory grave robbers, perhaps, who are murdering men. The men find a woman walking alone that night and do their thing, delivering the body that morning before Fletcher's next demo. Now, shortly after a police officer arrives to question Fletcher, convinced that he will soon catch him with a hot cadaver, looking for the missing man who was reported, he looks under the sheet of a cadaver that Fletcher is about to demo on, and seeing it as a woman, is disappointed, but vows to eventually catch Fletcher. The men demand $100 from the doctor for his corpse, and considering his needs for a female, he pays. Fletcher then begins his lecture and begins it with something similar to what he said to Mr. Bennett, that no individual life is of any consequence if it means they're saving him many lives. As he prepares to begin his demo, he pulls back the sheet from the body and screams in horror at what he sees. From here, you can figure it out. And it's a blood-curdling scream by Cornell Wilde. Now, great performances all the way around. And Rod Serling was heavily critical of Jack Laird's version of Night Gallery, or like especially second season, because some of the macabre elements. But this is something way different than he ever did for Twilight Zone. Now, the idea of Serling having this episode, this was in Valentine's Week in 1972. It was February 9th, so a very, very interesting decision for a Valentine's Week story. Now, I basically believe it holds up because it's believable. Like, at first, you're not sure it was Elizabethan. When I say Elizabethan, mid-1860s, late 1890s, still a big British influence. But everything's dark, everything's dangerous, and just like the Jack the Ripper motifs, the fog and the darkness, combines to the deviltry going around. Now, is Dr. Fletcher so egotistical that he thinks the death of anybody is beneficial to his work? Yes, of course. But like anything in life, when it comes to wanting something, what goes around comes around. But Rosemary Forsythe is strong. Walter Burke, Peter Whitney, Larry Mann, Ken Smith, Peter Bracco, of course, always a consistent performer. But Ian Wolfe as the mortician is quite an interesting character as well. And you have John Madison as the second grave robber, but Peter Whitney as the main one. I wouldn't want to meet Peter Whitney at a before or after a wake, because I might be the next one. He doesn't seem to have much of a kind conscience. So on a scale of 1 to 4, I would give it close to 3 3/4. The only problem is there's some murky audio in certain key scenes, and the idea of the way it's filmed. Corey does a great job, but I think the scenes inside the building, where the autopsies are taking place, could be done a little bit better. Now, in Scott Skelton's book about Night Gallery, and a few other publications, this is considered a top 10 episode of Night Gallery. It's pretty close, not in my top 10, but at least top 12. And again, if you are going to watch Night Gallery, be prepared of the quality of the second season episodes towards the end. Caterpillar, The Waiting Room, stuff like that. Even the Pat Boone episode, where he plays the evil parent putting his son away into a military school that might be permanent. So again, if you're very bothered by ghouls and grave robbers, this ain't the episode for you. But if you like good acting, and good script and good directing, this is for you. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our Super Bowl edition of our Night Gallery podcast. We always appreciate you dropping in. We're nearing 500,000 hits on the channel, and a good percentage of these are my around 50 Night Gallery podcasts. We appreciate you dropping in. And as we like to say in the North Shore of New Brunswick, don't protest like the assholes in Ottawa and Windsor and everybody else. Just get your hockey stick, get a hockey Cooper ball, have a game of road hockey. De-stress, don't, what do you call, accelerate. Always look for good in people. Thanks for listening. Bye.